the professional practice, we'll start with the all the material here with the governance, ethics, relationship building, risk management, project management, corporate governance, and HR technology. So if you start with the ethics, this is very important from the point of view from the examination. Ethics is a set of standard morals for judging your whether something is right or wrong. And that is the ethics. And you will have a question from this this module. What is ethics? What is moral? So these type of definition you must be remembering. Ethical behavior can be affected by the individual and the organization influence. So individual influence includes the locus of control, mechanism. Mechanism is the personality trait that is characterized by the use of manipulations to achieve your power. And then is there the stage of ethical development, value systems. So individual influence. There are two by two ways your moral also will get affected by the individual, by the organization. For the individual, it's a locus of control. But as an individual, you have a control versus the internal versus external control. That is the kind of control you have. So if you see kind of control you have, that depends on the individual capacity. Then you have the mechanism. Mechanism is a personality characteristic that indicate one's willingness to do its own inner selfness, your willingness to do whether it takes to one gets one own way. That someone wants to move to a particular position, so its own willingness, but he wants to work, he wants to go to the mile. And third is the stage of the ethical development. Here you feel personal own ethical development can be viewed as having it reached at one of the three levels like this. It can be pre-conventional, it can be a conventional and a post-conventional. So there are certain kind of stages of development for the ethical development. The first of kind is the pre-conventional. It's a childish like nature. Pre-conventional is just a childlike nature and calculating and self-centered based on the possibility of immediate punishment or reward. It is just like as you treat your child by giving her its reward or the punishment, like you give him a chocolate for going doing something good, and you just scold him that he didn't work properly, he didn't finish his work. So accordingly, it's a pre-conventional stage. The second stage is the that is the conventional stage. That one moves from egocentric point of view toward the expectation of the society and loyalty and obedience to the organization. That becomes the paramount. What is right or wrong is not an issue, but whether the action will benefit the organization, that is it. So you look outside and look and you work toward your society. Now, how you are looking, how the what is required, so you become loyal. And third stage is your the post conventional. It represents the ethical standards of the mature adult, like the adult is an if an individuals are less concerned about how others view their behavior and how they will judge themselves in a long run. That is called the principled ethics. So it's a post-conventional thing, right? Post-conventional becomes you have your own principles. You are least concerned by others or by the society. So you have your own. So that becomes your overall way to imbibe your ethical values. Then you have the ethical value system. Value system means that a belief that determine how we will define our behaviors are good, right, or fair. That is the value system. When you move from the ethical system, you have a certain kind of theories. The theories may be the Adam equity theory. According to this theory, the employees strive for equity, equitable treatment, just like equity for others, both inside and outside the organization. Suppose they want that input at same level as others, and they expect to receive the output as rewards. Whatever I am putting my efforts, that is the input, and in return I perceive that I will be getting this reward. That is the output I receive. That is the equitable theory. That is the Adams equitable theory. Suppose the employee feel that there is equity between your input and output. The input and output of others will be satisfied with their rewards. So when you are working on the equity theory, you later on decide have certain kind of terminology that this justice can be. You see the results of fair or not, equitable or not. Then you go for the justice you receive. That is distributive justice or the procedural justice. So distributive justice is that the employees are satisfied when they perceive that overall reward outcomes are fair. That is the distributive justice. Procedural justice, the perception is that reward determination process is fair overall. That is the procedural justice. So you will have the question from both of the terminologies, and you will find a question in terms of your the case study that there will be a case study given to you within 2 to 3 lines, and you have to find it's a procedural justice or it's a distributive justice. Distributive is something overall distribution of the justice, and procedure is something related to the process. You have to remember these kind of keywords. Then you have the organizational influence. Organizational influence depends on your code of conduct, code of ethics, communication of expected employees, and ethics committee, an officer, and your ethics training. So organization get influence on the individual depends on all these criteria like your CPHR code of conduct, SHRM code of conduct, HRCI code of conduct. Then you have the communication of expected employees, behavior, how they behave and expect. Then you have some committee in terms of the ethics, and you have the ethical training that are imparted by the by your organization. Code of ethics. Code of ethics is the statement. Ethics is a statement of values, principle that determines what the organization expect in terms of the employee responsibility towards their fellow members, their customers, their suppliers. That is the code of ethics. It's a statement of value. If you find a question, then you have to click. If it is given, it is a statement of values and principle. Is called as what? It is called a code of ethics, and code of ethics may be include your provision such as reporting of violation, conflict of interest, confidentiality of information, financial practices, record keeping, monitoring, and enforcement. That is will be given in the code of ethics. So code includes your so when you will find the question, you will find a question from definitely from a code of ethics question. You may find a question from the CPHR, how it goes, what kind of codes. At least 2 questions will be asked in this. So you please remember, code of ethics is very important for to understand and to study. It looks very simpler, but the answer will be very close from the code of ethics. In SHRM also, it's the same. It's their last, and they have their own code of ethics. So let's move to the ethics training program. A training for solving ethical dilemmas, which the employees are asked to come up with the best ethical solution. That is the ethical training program. And your Canadian Charter of Rights and Freedoms. So you have the Canadian Charter of Rights and Freedom is that fundamental freedom, the rights relate to the thoughts, belief, opinion, expression, conscience, and the religion. That is the Canadian rights to. So Canadian Charter of, so you have to remember these are the rights that are related, and democratic rights. Democratic rights are that are related to the parts that are participating in the politics and forming the government. That is the democratic rights. So one candidate has employee, or the what the Canadian Charter says, you have the right to vote, you to form the government and participate in politics. So if you find a question that participation in the politics is allowed or not, then yes, it's a democratic right, and you have the mobility right. You can move and leave the enter, and you can enter or leaving the country. You have the mobility rights. If you have the legal rights related to the due process. So you have the equality rights that are related to the equal treatment before the law. That is the equality right. And language rights. Language rights are that rights that related to the freedom or to communicate in either the French or English and communication with federal government. That is the language right. So minority language and education right, they are related to the assessing the education and their own language for individual for in English or the French minority. So these are the rights you need to understand. So provincial and territorial human rights legislation. So that says that the workplace and that falls under the provincial and territorial jurisdiction are free from discrimination and harassment. So it's a human rights legislation which says it must be free from your discrimination and harassment. And employment standard says that there are certain kind of employment standard in terms of hiring, wages, special clothing, records, over hours of work, overtime, statutory leave, vacation, and termination. That is what is related and given in the employment standard. You will have the question. It's important from your point of examination that employment standards are given as a question. So they will confuse it's a discrimination or not. So employment standard doesn't include the discrimination. They include your type of hours, number of hours. So it is not related to the harassment. So employment standard give you a minimum standard for the employment practice. Let's come to the equity legislation. Equity legislation is that provides equal opportunity for treatment designated to the groups found to be disadvantages in the past due to discrimination on prohibited ground. That is the equity legislation. So you have the pay equity. Pay equity is also one of the definitions that provides for equity in compensation for women compared to that men. Important to be aware of the difference between, you can have the difference between equal pay for equal work, which ensure that women doing the same job and their male counterpart receive equitable and remuneration for their work. That is the equal pay for equal work and equal pay for equal value. It ensures that women performing the female-dominated occupations receive equitable remuneration in their male counterpart. So you will have the question from these two. Like these are very confusing if you see, but very easy to understand. Equal pay for equal work means you have to pay equal work, equal pay for doing the same work. Suppose equal value means, suppose you have female-dominated area and you have the male-dominated area, like the gym instructors, they may be the male-dominated area. The women working in similar kind of jobs, like in the female store, like the female lingerie store, so they must be paid as compared to the same value if they work, if as a male counterpart working the male departmental store. So it is the same equal value work. Like this is how you can like the swimming rescue workers. So they must as a male counterpart. So female must be paid as same as the male counterpart are doing the male dominated areas. So employment equity means that ensure the target groups. So these are the four kind of target group. That is the definition given by the Canadian Human Resource, and you have to remember what kind of target group. There are four kind of. First is the woman is the target group. Second is the Aboriginal people, and Aboriginal people maybe you're the people of not origin from the same country, and visible minorities with the person with the disability. So they are the soft group, or these are the targeted groups, always always targeted for the harassment. So you have to give the employment equity to these target group. These are represented in the workplace and to the same degree as they are represented in their qualified workforce. So let's come to the Canada Labour Code. Canada Labour Code says that it governs the organization, the federal jurisdictions such as the banks, grain elevators, flour mills, highway transports, pipeline, radio, television, and the cable system. So Canada Labour Code governs in the organization the federal. So you have to understand which are the industry which come under the federal, which are under the provincial. So these are important: radio, televisions, pipeline, flour mills, banks, grain elevators. These are covered under the federal part. So you must remember, you may have the question is provincial or the federal. Accordingly, that law will be governed on that. There will no be exemption in the particular province. Let's come to the Canada Labour Code US. Canada Labour Code says that these are the three parts: first part, second part, and third part. First part relates to the industrial relations. Industrial relations is that which governs the union certification and the successful creation, administration, dispute resolution process, and concerning the employee collective bargaining. Industrial relation is what? That governs the union certification. That is the tripartite. It may be. It may have your emergent relationship. It may have your collaborative agreement. So it's a industrial relation. And occupational health and safety is the second part that relate to, as the name suggests, it is related to the safe work environments within our organization through the administration, prevention, inspection, regulation, and the remedies. Third is the employment standard, which provides for the minimum standard governing such as working hours, leaves, holidays, overtime, termination, and other entitlement. That is the minimum standard of work. It's the first, second, and third part that is designed. So you must remember these kind of what terminology, what it includes in this. That is important from your examination point. Let's come to the another point, that is a mirroring ruling. Mirroring ruling is established as an important precedent concerning the duty to accommodate. So example was, it's a run, female run in a fire and a bona fide occupational requirement. What it says, so you can have the discrimination, that is the so the sometime you that is you discriminate on the basis of the bona fide occupational requirement. What is that? Suppose wearing a spectacles in a aircraft or in a firefighter aircraft, that you will not allow the spectacle people to come and join the air force. But that is a bona fide occupation. Spectacle or the visual impaired person cannot be hired in an aircraft carrier as a pilot. But that is a bona fide occupational requirement. Suppose a disabled person cannot be hired in a firefighter or a fire department. So that is a bona fide occupational requirement that is required to that you discriminate, bona fidely discriminate a particular person. That is the actual requirement. So that is the mirroring ruling is related to the bona fide occupational requirement, that where there was the requirement by the employer that you have to run in a in a fire forest. So the case of file in a court that female wife, women were rejected, and because women's they said that women are not as at employer said the women are not as athletic as male counterparts are, so that's why they were required. That is a bona fide occupation requirement, that they are hiring the male counterpart. So this is a mirroring ruling. Let's come to the legal guidelines aspects of the staffing process. Legal aspects say then shows your selection criteria, then tools. It ensures all the information provided to the candidates accurately reflects the job, working condition, and obtain the authorization to contract. The reference, save all the records, and your resulting from the recruitment process. So it ensures the recruitment process and the assessment tools and that are administered consistently to increase the reliability process that covers under the guidelines aspect of the staffing process. So you have the employment insurance. Employment insurance in Work and Compensation Act. So these you have to remember the difference of both. So these are kind of so what is employment insurance? Employment insurance, once you are retired or you're in case of the lose your job sometime, you have income protection as in India, just like the ESI, uh, right? So what this says, it provides for temporary income protection to unemployed workers in the worker who are absent due to illness or injury. That is the employment insurance. A worker compensation is provides an income security for injured worker and their families. These are both of the difference of these. The Pension and Benefit Standard Act, it is the governs the creation, management, transfer, and disbursement of the employer pension plan. That is given by Pension Benefit Standard Acts. Then you have Canada Pension Plan. It provides a dependable pension for retired pension plan and provides the individual with or her dependent with the basic financial protection if individual becomes injured or dies. Then you have the Personal Information Protection and in Electronic Document Act, that is the PIPEDA, and the recently introduced the Digital Privacy Act. It's also important from the examination point that you storing, usage, disposal of personal information that is needs to be secured, and it comes with the if you are misusing the data, then you are violating that act, and there are certain kind of penalties for that. So Personal Information Protection and Electronic Document Act, and right, so it's important. So there are kind of laws that are governed by the your labor department, and second law is governed by your judges, that is called as the common law. Common law is made by, also called as the tort law. Tort law is something that is, the definition says that it's a judge made law that applies to all aspects of the employment relationship. The exceptions may be in the cubic, and it's a negligent misrepresentation in the recruitment hiring through the that constitute the contract of employment, like it will lead to unjust dismissal or termination, that is negligent misrepresentation. The negligence is the requirement of the due diligence, that is the due diligence is required for the unjust dismissal. So there are two type of one is the negligent misrepresentation. It is very a serious case. If you it is the duty of the employer to give the right representation of the job. If somehow you misrepresent the job, then employee will be liable at risk of their job, because they are wrongly hired. So by your mis-selling, so they can sue you as an employer. They can sue you. There's an unjust dismissal. It becomes the unjust dismissal in their termination or the cause. So that is the uh, criteria for this. Clear? And let's come to the contract law. The employment contract. Employment contract is that offers an acceptance, consideration, and typically outlines the pay, working condition, and performance expectation of the employment relationship. That is the contract law, the employment contract. Contract law says the status of non-employees. The organization may wish to employ the individual who are not earlier employed. That is the status of the non-employee. And advantages are that flexibility. Employees, you may find the question from the non-employees. So what is the benefit? They have the benefit of the flexibility. Limited liability is one of the major reason for the non-employees. And maintaining the payroll cost, you can maintain the payroll cost and headcounts number, budgeted limited, and keeping the employee revenue ratio low. So these are your contract law. Then there can be difference of the contract of service and contract for service. Contract of services says is a service is between the employer and the employee. That is the contract for of service. And contract for service is between the employer and the independent contractor. That is the employer contract for service. And test for ensuring the independent contractor is not employee. That is the difference of both these. So off service is for the employer employee, for service for the independent contractor. Let's come to the just wait, test of control. So control test that examines your authority to select your hire. So you can have the differentiate. How you differentiate between that it is a contract employee, it's a employer. Then you have your control test. Examine the control test say the employer authority to select, hire, and the ability to determine whether the payment, what's employer rights, employer's control direction, and employer's right to discipline. These decide the control test. So organizational test. Organizational tests are the integration test. The individual duties are vital to the survival of the organization, and individual is economically dependent on one's establishment. So it's an organizational test. So organization, how they test that individual is a employee or a or independent contractor. So it's a they see their duties are vital for their survival, and they're economically dependent on one establishment. That is how we can see that it's an employee or independent contractor. But these two, organized control test and organizational test, these become then you check can be challenged in the court, like by the fourfold test. These are governed by the courts to determine the status of the employment relationship. So it examines the control as defined by the control test, ownership of tools, chance of profit and risk of loss, and integration as defined by the organizational test. So court decide whether this person that was hired was your uh, that are hired by your employer, that was the contractor or your employee. So that is how it is dependent. So let's come to the permanency test. Permanency test says let's look for the duration and durability of the relationship. That is the permanency test. So relationship can be your harmonizer. Harmonizer relation is that mediating conflict. Definition of harmonizer is that it mediating conflict among the members, reconcile the disagreement and relieving the tension. That is the harmonizer. Then you have the compromiser. This is admitting the compromiser. One, the person who admits their error. Gatekeepers are what? Those making sure all the members have a chance to express their ideas, feeling, and they're preventing members from being interrupted. Encourager is that helping a team member make his or point through the praise or support. That is the encourager. So you have the analytical and decision-making techniques. Affinity diagram, mind mapping affinity programs allows the organization of ideas into the related group or grouping of the issues that have one to one another. So I just stop here because I'll cover this part tomorrow. This is very important. Who are the traditionalists? Who are the baby boomers? The generation X, Y? A very important concept in relation to your examination point of view. In the meantime, we'll go the review our question bank, whatever we have gone, so that we have a fair idea what we. So let's see the question bank. Are we ready for the question bank?
Yes.
So you see the question is available on the screen. We have not done this before, na? Please check.
B, first impression.
First impression similar to with the implement open vision and rated only because she displays so much of energy comment all over that. This is an example of which type of interview. Uh, so your answer, you also join and give the answer. What is the answer for this? Hello.
Hello.
Participate.
Yeah, I'm also.
What this says. So for the interview, the applicant for open vision and rated the applicant because they display much more energy content than all. But this is called as what?
B, maybe.
What? B or D?
B.
Bombay? No.
Yeah.
Answer is D. It's a contrast. She displays so much of energy and confidence. It's not a first impression. If there's no such given, it's on the first instant he took the decision. It's not a contrast occurs when the rater compares the candidate to each other, rates and rates them based on the difference rather than their qualification. So it is a contrast. Please remember, it's not a first impression. Second question. This is the wrong answer.
Okay.
This is how you will get confused in the exam. Next question. Next question.
This is C.
C is what?
Discrimination.
You give the answer. Who has given the answer? Steffi, you gave the answer or who?
Yeah. Yeah, the answer is C, discrimination.
No, dear, you both are wrong.
Yeah,
It's
the answer is gut feeling.
bad feeling. Bad
Gut
feeling means
feeling.
it's a gut feeling.
Correct. Yeah, okay.
It's a bad feeling. It's a gut feeling. Please don't get discouraged because you are just read the answer carefully and give the answer accordingly. So there is
Yes,
a
yes.
the keywords. Next.
Yeah.
Now this is also one of the important question.
Okay. Knowledge of predicator. A.
Right. When you
Okay.
know that the answer, uh, when you know that the certain kind of results, that answer high or low rating is there on the basis
Yes.
of your score, that's a knowledge of it, right?
Okay. Right. Yes.
Uh, your name is Jess, Steffi. Another other candidate name is Jaskiran.
Hello.
Hello, hello, Mandi. Hello.
Hello.
Yeah, I forgot your name. What's the name?
Pavneet. Pavneet this
Pavneet,
side.
you don't get discouraged, Pavneet, and just remember, just see that more question you will do and more answers you will score in the exam.
Okay, okay.
First time it get difficult, but you come to know the answer. Second, next question.
The supervisor of the department does not want to hire the applicant. The answer is C. The supervisor is guilty of the negative emphasis form of interviewer bias.
Pavneet, did the interviewer disclose the applicant was convicted of driving another 6 years and the position of the candidate is applying to retail doesn't require driving? Because the department doesn't want to hire the applicant because of DUI, right? And of conviction. Which of the following statement is false? They're asking for
I
the
think
false.
it's B.
It's not a guarantee.
B.
Sorry?
This is wrong. This is the false statement. Look, this is he was hired, he was convicted for influence of driving, and the position doesn't require the driving. It's a retail sales clerk. So this is a discrimination. If you're not hiring that candidate, a false
Yes.
statement is this. The supervisor makes a correct decision not to hire. It's a false. So
Right,
answer
but
is
then
right.
the supervisor is he did not hire the candidate, no?
So he didn't hire. It's a wrong, no, not to hire. It's a false.
Okay.
So it's what the law says that if someone was discriminated, convicted, it depends on the level of conviction. Alcohol,
Hmm.
drink and drive, crossing the zebra line. These are the kind of if you face some conviction in
Right.
driving, it doesn't mean you
Hmm.
are your integrity is doubtful. That is, and it depends on your type of conviction and the length of the conviction. Length of your if it is 6 months to 6 years, if it is murder and you got 20 years, then it's a case of something else. Let's come to the next.
Okay.
I think it's C.
C.
Right, right, good,
Okay.
good attempt.
A. There are no conditions under which age may be considered.
B.
Okay.
It is because the Indian legislation they will give the preference to the Native American applicant because of their local language preference, their knowledge. That's why it's one of an occupation requirement, right?
Acha. Okay, right.
Let's come to this seventh question.
I think it's A.
Seventh, D.
D. Yeah.
So D.
Okay.
This is the SPHR question actually. SPHR, not from the
Okay.
G. Just answer it.
The following is not correct. D.
Yeah, D. That's D. You leave this question. Let's come to the age question. This is not available for you. This is not ADA belongs to the America, not for the US. It's ADA.
Okay.
Next. Let's come to this 25th.
D.
B. Affirmative action. Let's come to this one. This one is the easy one.
Okay. The goal of the following. A. Restructuring.
No, reengineering.
Okay.
C. C is the right answer.
The right answer.
Okay.
C.
D. Job analysis.
Yeah, job and answer.
A. Job bidding.
Alternative staffing.
Okay.
I think so. It's B.
Bombay, Delhi.
B or D. I have a confusion in this too.
This is the right answer.
Okay.
Okay. D. The existence of written contract. Degree of control.
It's a
Okay.
degree of control. It's a difference of contractor and employer. Degree of control is high in case of contract. तो दोनों में we have the contract with both employer and employer
Ah,
existence. But what kind of contract? That doesn't
right.
mention here. That is a
Right. Right.
trap here. Trap. It's a trap.
Okay. Okay. D. All of the above.
Right. Yeah, Pavni, it's a very easy question.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. None of the above.
And who are not currently looking for work is a passive candidate.
Candidate.
But the passive also means that I may not be actively looking, but if something comes my way, I'll take it up, no?
That's why it is here, not written. Na? Currently looking for, not currently looking for work.
Sorry, I didn't get that.
It is. This is a definition of passive. You are also saying this.
Right, right. Okay, okay. A, to manage expectations of the line manager.
Pavneet, B.
B.
Okay, to ensure that the job specifications are accurately presented.
I think so. It's A.
recruiting.
It
Yeah,
says
A, employee referral.
employee reference job posting.
C,
Hmm. What is job bidding?
okay. Job bidding is where where employees can or candidates can see and you have to bid for it, right?
No. What kind of bidding?
I mean, how do I put it?
I'll 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 work on low salary. This is a bid.
Yeah, something like that. I mean, I quote lower. Like you have these freelance trainers who do that.
No, 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 no. It's job bidding is something which is you publicize your job before the job is made available. It's asking. It's just to make it publicized and asking the candidate CV before it is become available. So you see what kind of people are approaching, and accordingly you make a decision. That is job bidding. Yeah.
Okay, okay,
So you ask the expression of interest from the employees for a particular position before it become available.
okay.
Yeah, this is the right answer.
Phone number, website, videos, virtual interviews. Example.
A, social media and online recruiting.
Right. No, this is you leave it. Leave it. You answer this one.
D,
B. B or D?
Weighted application. Look at the question. Heavier emphasis on essential. Weighted application. Yeah.
yeah.
I think so. It's C.
Visual. No.
It's B. Yeah. D, integrity test.
Right.
C, physical assessment.
Right. Leave it. Yeah.
D, useful. Valid. Okay.
What is it?
And इसका B. B. B.
B.
Okay.
This answer.
I think it's C. Maybe it's C.
C. Yeah, for me
Yeah,
too. C. Negligent hiring. Yeah.
right answer.
Uh,
I think so it's
D.
B. B.
The answer is sorry. What is the answer, sir?
B. Employment
Employment
contract.
contract. Okay.
It's B. B.
A.
B was
B.
Okay. But in such a question, how would you know what is the right answer?
More practice. The employee claimed to have popular view of the site. View site that the employer discriminated against her on her sexual orientation. She subsequently was fired for performance issue, which she has denied. Now, which is the following? So, employee may claim that unlawful retaliation. Is a victim of
Okay.
constructive discharge, that can be true, but
Right.
but main thing is they can have the unlawful retaliation. That is the
Hmm.
maximum chances that they face retaliation of the.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
Let's come to the next part. This one. Just wait. Just wait. Uh, yeah, this one.
D. Because of risk, the employer should not hire the candidate.
C.
Okay.
This next question.
D. When the applicant has authorized the background screen by signing the application.
Yeah.
When authorized, you didn't check the winner. If 100 of the
Sorry?
candidate author, if 100 of the
Huh.
candidate author, then immediately you don't. You only check when you have done your unconditional offer letter.
Right.
That
Yeah. Yeah.
that was a trap here, right?
D. To ensure the tests accurately measure job requirements.
Yeah, Rohit, answer D. Let's come to this.
Uh, Answer is D. An employer staffing need.
I think so. It's C.
Staffing. Workforce plan, na? Workforce plan is staffing department.
Uh, Answer is D. Compliance with various labor law.
B.
B. Okay. Okay.
I think so. It's C.
Yeah, C. Next question.
It's B.
Yeah. B.
B.
A. Orientation.
I think so. It's D. Onboarding. D or A. B.
Yes, D.
Okay. D.
B. B Bombay.
How B? Like very diverse applicants.
C. Using pre-screening questions.
I think so it's D. Training course.
Please mute yourself.
So can you scroll down? We can't see all the options.
There is a lot of noise from your end.
नहीं नहीं बंद कर दिया मैंने.
अच्छा.
A. General intelligence.
Aptitude test.
Formal personality.
D. All of the above.
All of above. Hello?
Give the answer.
All of the above.
Right,
The
right,
above.
right. Next question.
D.
D.
Reports
No,
for
it's
educational institutions.
C. C. Maybe it's C.
Okay. C. Hire students of high school.
Maybe it's D.
Let's say
Okay. D, skills inventory. Employer identity.
right.
Okay. A, recruitment.
It's D, all of the above.
Okay. A, company brand.
Yeah. The greatest stress to employers that maybe it's D, complying with provincial law.
C, an employment contract will describe.
Yeah, right.
Okay.
This one, include reason.
Include reasons of. Okay. Yes.
Maybe it's D,
Anchoring biasness. It's anchoring biasness.
Okay.
Okay.
It's D. Oh, no.
B. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
we will learn that.
Passive.
Recording will be downloaded. Next, second last question. Rest we'll do tomorrow.
All of the above.
All of the above.
Right. Last question.
B. The employee has internalized the culture and is comfortable with their job.
B. Clear?
Yeah.
This is the right answer. So yeah, the rest of the we'll do tomorrow at the same time. We'll complete our third. Till then you read out your modules, right?
Okay.
Okay, I have a question.
Right.
So, we received the courier, I mean the books and the practice module that that is there in the book. Where would we find the answers for it? I mean, how would we know if we're correct?
And modules.
Like I have the first module book with me, and it has the practice test. So where would I find the answer for it?
Module 11.
1 second. I'll just tell you which one I'm looking at.
Your answers are given in the module 11.
Uh, Sorry, I couldn't hear that.
Answers are given in the module 11.
Answers are given in the module 11. Okay, okay, all right.
Okay, thank you. Okay, bye.
So,
Okay.
for all the sample questions, the answers are in module 11.
Yes, yes, yes. You please read out. You will
Okay,
come.
okay, all right.
Thank you. Okay.